Great.
And if anyone like joins throughout, sorry, I'll let them come
would
in.
you
Go ahead.
Would you like me to send a message in the group me just reminding people
Sure.
about the session?
Yes. But yeah, I like will get a notification if someone joins, so we can just go ahead and start since we don't have all the time in the world.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming, first of all. This is always so exciting, and I'm so excited to like hear from you because I just think it's very interesting what you're doing, and you're like living the dream life, it seems like.
Yeah.
Okay, so my first thing is like tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey thus far, like, you know, where you're at right now, where you want to go, and all that kind of stuff, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, so I grew up, I'm from Indiana. I'm from Terre Haute. And yeah, I grew up on a farm, and I grew up with a lifestyle completely different to what I'm in now. But yeah, so I grew up with 4-H. So that was a very prevalent part of my life. So that's where I learned sew. And I'm sorry if you guys hear a lot of sirens. I live in an intersection, so that's, you might hear a lot of background noise. Anyways, yeah, so I learned how to sew with 4-H, and that was kind of like the cradle for me that's kind of what I was interested in, and just a lot of hands-on labor and manual skills and stuff. So yeah, so my family all went to Purdue, and so I naturally wanted to go there, and it was great that they had a design program, well, when they still did. And so, yeah, I was the last class to come through in the design major. And I knew going in that I wanted to do FIT, and I wanted to study abroad. But yeah, I obviously was like very nervous going into all of it. And, you know, I think there's a lot of nerves, like, you know, if you're going to get in, like, and all rides on you, you know, wondering if you're good enough and everything. So I think we're all in that boat for sure when it comes to like what we want to end up doing. But yeah, so I went to Purdue, and then I did the year at FIT in business, and I chose to do the business instead of design just because I thought it would be a lot. Well, first of all, I really wanted to go to be in New York, so I thought it would be a bit easier for me to get into that program, but I also wanted a different perspective than design, and I knew design was really cutthroat, so I ended up doing the business instead. And yeah, I'm really happy I did. I learned a lot, and I had a lot more free time to explore the city and figure out what I wanted to do. Yeah, and then so I did that, and then actually the summer before FIT is when I did this study abroad at London College of Fashion. It was just the intro to design, and yeah, it was it's an understatement to say that London completely changed my life. Like, study abroad is one of the best possible things you can do at that age, period, just getting out of the country and learning more. But yeah, I was here 2.5 months, and it was just amazing. I learned so much about business and making and culture and history here, and the industry, and how complex and amazing and what's available job-wise, and all the difficulties with it. But yeah, I fell in love with London, and yeah, and then I ended up here. I knew I wanted to come back here and study here after that summer. So that's here I am. But yeah, so I did that. I did the summer in 16, and then in 16 I went to FIT and did the year in FIT through to 17, and then did my senior year at Purdue, did my final collection, and I knew after I graduated I still wanted to do more school. So I applied for the Bespoke Tailoring program here, and I got in that summer, but it was only like a 1.5 month turnaround, so I decided to defer for a year. And so I spent the year in Lafayette. I worked at the Ulta and the David's Bridal in Lafayette for a year, and just saved money and just got more experience, and kind of planned my year before I moved. And yeah, and then now I'm here. So that's kind of like a rounded up version of where I'm at now.
That's so awesome and honestly so inspiring. Like, I know I wanted to study abroad really bad and I was supposed to last summer, but like, COVID canceled and everything. So now I'm like looking for other opportunities because I feel like there's so many stories like yours where it's just like you have the best experiences and like you get so much experience from it that you might not otherwise get from here. So that's really awesome to hear and like excites me for like future stuff. And I hope it does for everybody else as well. So my next question is, so you're living in London right now. So you're in London, like in London. That's
Yes,
awesome. I love that for you. So like for my first question is, what is bespoke tailoring? Because that's something that I do not know a whole lot about. And, maybe a lot of other people don't. So I'm excited to hear about that and learn more about it. So I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, so I knew when I was doing my senior collection that I wanted to learn more about fit, and I like really clean lines and really like chic and elegant fashion, and so I'm really big on like historical influences in my work. So I didn't really know a lot about bespoke before going into it, honestly, either. I just knew that it was the perfect fit for me based on the research I did do. So yeah, so basically bespoke is pretty much synonymous with Savile Row here in London, which is it's a street just off of one of the big shopping streets here that's full of very established old tailoring houses. And bespoke is basically the highest echelon of fashion you can achieve. It's completely custom and it's all about the client and what they want and details and excellence and perfection and craft. So they tell us, our teachers tell us, like, if you can make bespoke, you can make anything, because it's like the ultimate like level of craftsmanship. So yeah, so it's pretty synonymous with like suits, and a lot of it's with menswear, but honestly, women's wear is becoming more and more common with bespoke. And so we learn suits, we learn like jackets and trousers and stuff, but I think they really, the tools they teach us can be transferred onto any type of garment, and you learn that as you're making things. But yeah, it's a very niche market. It's for the top 1%, very, very wealthy people. I'd say a basic bespoke suit is like 6,000 pounds, which is like $9,000. So it's very expensive, but it's completely custom, and it's basically like a second skin. That's what it comes down to, is just clothing that it's about sustainability. So it lasts for a lifetime because it's top quality materials, top quality wear. Usually once you if you gain weight or if you lose weight, or if something rips, like, you can take it back and they mend it, because it's an investment. So it's really like the wave of the future, and where we're going. Fashion now is all about sustainability, and they're pushing that. And so in a lot of ways, bespoke has come back, and it's just a really exciting thing to be in.
That's awesome. Like with your class, like you're in school right now, obviously, kind of, how has it affected you? Because I don't know if you can still do as much like up close personal tailoring, and that's obviously something that you need to have. So like, how has that affected you with your classes, with any work experience you've tried to get? Like, how has COVID affected that? Because obviously that's affecting everyone's lives and like that personal connection. So like, how has that affected it?
Yeah, it's honestly been the worst. So England has not handled this well. We've been in and out of lockdowns. We're still in a lockdown. So we've been in lockdown since before Christmas.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, so you're not really allowed to do anything except for go out for walks and go to the grocery. Like, it's very, very difficult. And so yeah, all of my school's online. The only time I was in person this year. I started a month later. I started in October because of COVID. So I was only in school like 2 months. It was only like 1 or 2 days a week. and that was not fun. And so, and then now we're online. So it's been really awful, honestly. The only positive thing I can say coming out of it is like, you really learn to rely on yourself and ask questions when you do of your teachers, but it's not been fun for especially what all of us, pay for the course. It's like, it sucks for your money's worth.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But we've been trying to like enact change and try and tell the university like this is what we need to get out of our money and all of that. But yeah, no, it's been very interesting. The jacket I just made that I turned in the 1st of February, a month ago, I made the whole thing here in the apartment. I didn't even do anything in class because we started cutting on them right when lockdown hit, right before Christmas. So it's definitely like it's been really interesting, but we've just had to make it work for sure. Work placement wise, I haven't done them yet. That's my next block. Right now I'm doing another project with making a suit with a client and everything. And it's actually really cool. It's called the Industry Project. So we have one of the cloth houses on Savile Row is sponsoring us. So they're helping us, and they'll judge us at the end, and we'll get prizes, which is really cool, really exciting. So yeah, and hopefully, and we'll be back in school by then when all that happens. But for right now, they're just helping us from a distance. But yeah, so I have placement after this. I think my placement starts the beginning of May, but we have to start thinking about that now. And I think by then, April 12th is, I think, when we're coming back. So by then, I think we will be able to find easier placement and, go in and actually do internships. But for right now, it's definitely a challenge.
Yeah,
So.
I know, even just for like our design class, obviously you took the class, so you know how it is. Even just us going online with things as simple as like pattern making, let alone like such intricate detailing and like making of a garment. I can't even imagine trying to make that just from your apartment. Like you don't have all those resources that you would have in the classroom. So it's crazy that they still like expect so much, but I guess it does help you grow and like rely on yourself. So then how many more years of college do you have left? Is this your final, or you like still have a little bit more time?
Yeah, so it's a 3-year course, so I still have a year after this. So next, I think things are definitely bouncing back with COVID. So as of fall, I think all my senior year will be normal, and I'll have time in the rooms because we really do. We need that space. We need that interaction. There's so much we've missed out on that they say that they're going to bring it back to us, but it's it's also just a year lost in a way. So it's just it's difficult, but yeah, like I said, it causes you to troubleshoot and make different decisions for sure. So
also, just so you're aware, we have like a group chat box that you can see, and so people can ask questions there. So we have one there now if you want to answer.
Oh, which school? I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm at University of the Arts London College of Fashion. So University of the Arts London is the umbrella school. They have, I think it's 6 or 7 schools are under their umbrella. So my particular school is London College of Fashion, and that is where you guys can do study abroad through, is London College of Fashion. But and UAL is also in charge of Central St. Martin's, which is the best fashion school in the world. It's like the top notch where the big designers come out of. So yeah, so it's just really exciting to like be under that umbrella, and like it's a lot of pressure, but yeah, it's really cool. So yeah.
Do you think you'll stay in London once you graduate? Like, is this where you want to be? And like, do you feel like there's a lot of job opportunities in what you want versus like America or another country for that matter?
Yeah. At this point, yes. One of the reasons I chose to do this degree was because I wanted to end up living over here. It's really hard to explain. It's just when I did that summer in 16, it's just it was so hard to leave here. When I was here in that summer, it's just like, I realized like, this is my home. Like, this is where I feel I have my most potential. So, I do think I am going to stay here. It's actually, it was very nerve-wracking for me at first because sometimes it's really difficult to work here. You have to get a work visa if you're not a citizen. And so I'm here on a student visa, but it can be difficult because you're supposed to find companies that can sponsor you, and that can be a bit pricey for companies. So it just kind of depends on where you get your foot in. But because of COVID, and I think also because a lot of push from students, the government actually is starting what's called a graduate visa. So it extends, you can apply for it and you can stay here 2 years past when you graduate to help you look for jobs and to help you get your foot in. So that has given me so much more cushion and support mentally to like give me that time, not just because of what COVID's put us through with our learning process, but also just to like, meet more connections and meet more people and yeah, just get more used to things and get my foot in the door. So yeah.
So awesome. Yeah, that's really that's a good that they would do that, because it would be so stressful to try and like find a job before you graduate and like everything's settled, and like there's so much that goes into like being abroad, let alone living abroad. So yeah, do you feel like you had like, I don't know, I feel like networking is such a big thing, and do you feel like you've met a lot of people within the fashion industry in general, or like specific to yours, that like will really like help with your future and like, maybe someplace you want to work, like internships, anything like that? Like, how has the networking been, I guess, is what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah. It's, the thing is, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm a pretty reserved person, so it's a lot more difficult for me personally to get out of my shell and meet people. It definitely comes with age. It gets easier and easier when you're an adult to meet people, but absolutely. We have met a lot of people. A lot come through the school. We've had a lot of past students come and speak to us and tell us where they're at. We have people come in and give talks. Excuse me. And then one nice thing about being online is actually that our course leaders have been, since COVID started, they've been doing what they call talking tailoring, and they have these people from all over the industry coming, and we can ask them questions and listen to their story and where they're from once a week. So actually today we listened to this girl. She didn't graduate from the tailoring program, but she graduated from LCF, and she's head of design at Paul Smith, which is a men's and women's wear brand that's like, they're known for their like really clean lines but bright colors. And we listened to this amazing guy from, he was a major exec for a lot of companies. One of the big ones like Ralph Lauren, and that was just amazing to listen where they come from and what they're doing. And we've listened to a lot of kids that did graduate from the program, and a lot of them are working freelance or working for big brands. So everybody goes everywhere, I think the pressure is that you need to end up and be super successful, but like, we all have our own definition of what success is. So it's just about like figuring out, listening to these people and taking in all this information and figuring out what you want to do, what sounds interesting, because it's becoming more and more common to just write your own rules and be your own boss and make your own business, and freelance is becoming big. And I think that's one thing I've definitely realized I want to do is I want to work for myself. I think you have to work for a company for a while to like get your foot in the door, but to set up your own shop and have your own rules and be able to do what you want to do. So I think that's kind of the end game for me, but I'm still trying to figure it out. So
that's awesome. That sounds so cool. That's something that I think I want to do with my future, is like have my own business as well, something in like garment creation. Like I'm just so passionate about it now. So yeah, it's so like fun to find what you love and enjoy and like really go for it. And I feel like you found that, and it's really awesome and inspiring. I know Elizabeth has some questions, so you can jump in at any time, Elizabeth, and anyone else, obviously.
Yeah, I'll ask a couple. Give Hannah a little break for a second there. First of all, hi. I don't know if you remember, I think you came and spoke to one of Chris's classes.
Yeah, I remember all you guys.
Yeah. So yeah, my first question is, did you experience a culture shock living in London?
No. Yeah, everybody asks me that, especially when I come home. I mean, I think when I first came here, this is the first time I've ever been out of the country in 16 when I came to study abroad here. And I was 20. I was 20, yeah. And I think, I mean, yeah, there was a bit of a shock, but I think more than shock for me, it was just like a real sense of freedom. Um, because I don't know, it's that's the only way I can describe it, is just being over here and being on my own, being independent, being able to make my own decisions, being away from my parents for the first time. It was very freeing. And I kind of always knew that I would love it over here. And yeah, it's just kind of like my heart and soul. I love the English. I love the Brits. I love the country over here. It's just so beautiful. And I love Europe. And and I'm just major on like history and geography and stuff. So that's why this is a really good place for me, is just because, you know, it's everything in America is so new. And it's just normal to have a building here that's 300 or 400 years old, and it's just like that's common, and I just think that's amazing. So yeah, I don't really think there was a shock. I had more of a shock when I did Chris's Japan study abroad my senior year. That was a bit more of a shock because, you know, Asia is so different from the Western world. So, but it was more of like a good shock than a bad shock. But I think everybody kind of experiences different stuff. But I didn't have any bad experiences over here at all. Everything was good. Everything was interesting, and I soaked up all of it. And I still am. I'm soaking up everything.
Oh, there's another question in the chat.
Sorry, I just wanted to jump in. Which year did he do the Japan study abroad?
Yeah, I did his style one. It was 18. I did it in 18. I graduated in 18. So,
Oh, okay. I'm
yeah.
from there, and I met Chris when he was on one of his trips there before I came to Purdue. So I was like, I went to the 2019 one, so I thought that would have crossed.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I did it was spring break. It was really last minute. I think he had one spot open up like around Christmas time or something. And my friend Emma was going, and I had the serious travel bug. I was still wanting to just go everywhere. And I was just, my poor parents, you know, they're just like all this travel. And then I was like, so can I go to Japan for spring break? And they were like, yeah, okay, fine. So I got really lucky. But yeah, so I went for spring break, and we were in Tokyo and Kyoto. So yeah, that was amazing. I loved it. That was definitely, like I said, that was definitely a lot more of a shock. I mean, I loved it, but like it was so different, and I loved it. I loved like being a white person walking down the street and like people staring at me because of that. I thought that was great. I just loved it. So it was really cool. Yeah. Yeah.
So my next question is kind of with the whole study abroad thing. Hannah and I were actually just talking yesterday about how we both really are very disappointed, obviously, with the whole COVID thing. We can't go study abroad. Would you have like any advice for people who want to get like some international culture experience, but obviously due to COVID, we can't really leave the country?
Yeah, just do it. I mean, if there's any chance for you to get out of the country, it is the absolute best decision you will make, honestly. Like I don't know how else to echo that more. It really just, I mean, I don't know what's going to be available to you guys because of where you're at in school, you know, anymore with study abroad. If you have any opportunities before you graduate, absolutely, please do it. Yeah, it's just completely life-changing. Yeah, I don't, it's really hard for me to talk about it because I could just go on for days. It just forces you to, you know, become an adult and realize what you want. And it makes you realize how small you are and how big the world is and how important it is for all of us to understand each other and to break down the barriers and just realize how beautiful the world is, you know, and just, and make the connections. And yeah, I mean, I would say there's definitely, I think the major barrier for a lot of people is the expense. And absolutely, I understand that. Like for me, I always tell people that, you know, time or money will always come back, but time never will. So it's absolutely, you never are going to regret anything, any money you spend on traveling. It's just one of those things. It's a good thing to save for and budget for. And there's so many bloggers and people that like can tell you how to do it on the cheap, and be affordable and all of that. So yeah, if you can do it through Purdue, please do, because it's much easier as a startup to have all of that planned for you, because it can be a bit scary planning, but I've gotten to the point I'm really not afraid to go anywhere because I know how to do it and what to get out of it. And so, I mean, I'm really down to do anything, but if any of you want to reach out to me on planning, please do. You guys can get my information from Hannah, or I'm on Instagram with my name. My handle is Hey Fashionista, but I'd love to talk to any of you if you have any questions about traveling or booking or anything, because I can do it really, I do really try and do affordable options as much as I can myself. But yeah, absolutely do it. Get out of the country, go and experience the world 100%.
Who were your fashion inspirations?
Ooh, I really love couture. Really like beautiful, elegant wear. You know, like just anybody that's really elegant and has really excellent taste and style. I'm definitely much more of a traditional, classy vibe. I like a lot of tailored stuff. I mean, before tailoring, I did still like a lot of tailored stuff. Like I love wearing like, you know, blazers and stuff, but that's kind of my aesthetic, I'd say, is just really beautiful things that just make you feel confident and beautiful, and you know, a lot of women that exude that too, you know, that what they wear only heightens their inner and outer beauty, and that they know that, and they want to, you know, show that and stuff. So yeah, and I really like not just fashion. I really get a lot of inspiration from like art too. It's really important just to go beyond looking at clothing when you are looking at inspiration. You got to look at art and nature and history and architecture and anything that, you know, brings you joy, or because that's where you get the really good ideas, is when you look at things that you're really interested in. So yeah.
Hannah, do you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I actually have a question kind of going back to like the tailoring part of it. Like for your classes, are you able to like I'm just kind of pulling it back to the design class here because like that's what I know. And are you able, like, do you design your piece, like the jacket you made, for example, like do you create it from like your, like, what am I trying to say? Like you was your idea, your design, your original design, and you created it, or is it more something you're just learning about, like the fit and how to fit it to the person, or does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm actually working on the jacket that the first one we started on, because we were supposed to get it done last spring and then COVID hit, so we didn't. So really a lot of our learning with the jacket process was, with the one we just turned in. So it was a lot of pressure on us, but everything we do is from imagination, from scratch. Okay. So it's just like you guys, you know, you're supposed to make all your patterns, you're supposed to design. So it's the exact same thing, but you have to do first fittings, second fittings. It's all about like perfect fit. But with this jacket, that didn't matter as much because they just wanted us to get a jacket out. And that's going to matter much more next year for our final collection, when we have models and everything has to fit perfectly. And that has to, you know, that's part of our process. So, yeah.
So like, I kind of forgot my question. What was I going to say? Oh, yes. So like, how long does one jacket take you? Like, to me, it seems like it would take so much longer than just, you know, pattern making for like a shirt that you're just going to throw on. Like, I think it would take so much more time because it's so fitted and so like personalized.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it does. The professional tailors that are teaching us, we ask them that question all the time, and they're like, if I worked like 8 to 5 or 8 to 6 all day, it takes them 2.5, 3 days, but that's like all day nonstop, right? So, and they get it to them pre-cut, and we, obviously, we have to cut everything on our own. I'm looking at the jacket that I made. I I don't even know. I was really behind on it because I was procrastinating, which we all do. And it took me, I would say, the majority about 3 weeks, and that's working a little bit every day. So that was a long time. That's not normal, but yeah, we pretty much are doing 100% handwork. The only, like some of the, like the side seams, the shoulders, the sleeves, and like, darts and like the beginnings of the pocket, that's machine, but everything else is basically hand. So it's such a beautiful way to construct, and you learn so well how clothing should be made, how beautiful the process can be. And I love hand sewing, and a lot of people absolutely hate it. So like I love it, and I love that like slow process of like perfection. So that's one reason I love this course so much. But yeah, you really have to be passionate about hand sewing, but also just wanting to really be into craft, because it's a very technical process, and it's time consuming, but it's really beautiful. And when you see how stuff comes together, and yeah, you don't ever go back once you realize how beautifully stuff is made. So yeah,
it's definitely such a beautiful like craft, and I think people, like you said, it's like more sustainable, and people are starting to now like really appreciate that over, and like, and I think it's so beautiful over like something that's like fast fashion made, like, this like so much love and care went into it, like it's gonna last forever. So yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I think more and more people are trying to do investment pieces, and I think it's the way the world's going, just because of how wasteful the industry is. And we really look at that in when we're making stuff, is how wasteful things are. And yeah, I was looking at this diagram the other day that like how like when you buy fast fashion versus an investment piece, how if you divide it every time you wear it based on what you paid for it, and it's like in the end you pay way more for a fast fashion piece than an investment piece, because an investment piece, you're going to drop that much money on it, but then you're going to keep wearing it and wearing it and wearing it for so long. And so these fast fashion companies, they're making us poorer, because the more we buy, the richer we think we are. But in reality, they're making us poorer, because we're buying more and buying more, and we're saving less, and we have less investment pieces when we're throwing away more. So it's just something to keep in mind for sure when you're buying, is to think like, do I really need this? Do I really want it? Does it really say what I want it to say? And like, should I be investing in something that's worth more money and is going to last longer?
100%.
Yeah. Oh, I see another question. What's your favorite historical era of fashion? Oh my gosh. Honestly, I love all history. I'm such a history nerd. It's really funny because I'll go to parts of London that, I'm big on like the Tudors, here in history, Elizabeth I and Henry VIII, and he's the one that had 6 wives. And that I would say I really love Tudor wear, but honestly, I love a lot of like Victorian, 18th century, Napoleonic, and like early 1900s. I mean, honestly, I'm inspired by all of it, just because people used to dress so much more beautifully. But I love the Tudors. My jacket I just made is like Tudor inspired, so I'm a little bit obsessed with all of that. But yeah, it's a good question. History is a really good way to look back and reanalyze fashion.
So we're almost out of time. This is, we have less than a minute, so I hope it doesn't cut off like right now, but thank you so much for coming on and talking. This was so interesting, and I was so excited for this meeting, because I know there's so much going on, and it's so inspiring. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you guys. Thanks for listening.
Yes.
Please get in touch with me if you guys have any questions about LCF or anything at all, okay? I'd love to talk to more of you guys. But yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good
Bye. Bye, guys.
Bye.
day.